Great to see everybody with you, and hopefully, and so welcome to, here we are, February 2021 already. My gosh. My brain's still back in December a little bit, but we got stuff happening. So good to see everybody. I know we'll be having a bunch of folks join. Miss you, as we were talking about at the very beginning. Certainly miss being with you in person, but we're doing what we can, right? So thanks to a great mentor in my life, Max Bolka, for giving us some good stuff that's coming up, and longtime buddy that I have not had a chance to really get to connect with. It's been fun this last little bit to reconnect with Cindy Guzzo, long time friend from MDRT. I'll give her a more formal introduction in a minute. The point of our study group is a couple things. Number one, and by the way, and Tim, Tim went out, her partner as well. So just met Tim this last week. But the point of our study group is to sharpen the saw, to be able to see things that are happening, that because many eyes is helpful in this business of ours. Even this morning, I got a wonderful article from Forbes magazine on changes to life insurance products that are allowing the insurance companies to go and reduce their assumed crediting rate from 4% to right now 2%, which is obviously going to allow us to put a whole lot more money in up front, whether we're just doing a regular overfunded life insurance product, or we're doing right now a significant number of cases on the premium financing side, which again, just allows us to put a whole lot more money into the contracts. So some good stuff that's happening there. If anybody wants that article, it's a really well done article. I've got the link here, or if enough people want it, maybe I'll just send it out as a blast later on.
Yeah, would you do that? That'd be great, RJ.
Yeah, no, this is big stuff. And it's going to be interesting to watch how the insurance industry responds to it in the recreation or adaptation of their products under this new 7702, Section 7702 ruling. But again, the point of it is that we're here to continue to grow and learn. I'll just remind you, I think it goes without saying, that anything that we talk about today stays between us, unless that person who shares it gives you their permission to share it outside of our little Zoom room. This is about trusting each other and growing in trust, and the idea being as well that if somebody runs into one of our fellow study group members out there in the field, that they would respect that position. And we had an incident that happened many years ago, and I'm thankful it was only one time, but there was a situation that devolved between two study group members, and it just was below professional standards. And there's plenty of business out there. It's an unlimited pie. So I'd like to think that as a study group member, that we're respecting each other. There's a lot of things happening with MDRT, and while this is not, you don't have to be a member of MDRT to participate in the study group. Many of the folks that are in this are members or have been in the past. So just wanted to let you know there are some exciting things with MDRT. There are 3 different ways that you can qualify. You can qualify in traditional ways, either through first-year commissions, or the second one is through premium. Or for me, the way I've done it is I just use it on total income. So you basically just tally up what your total income is and send in some sort of documentation that attests to that or shows that. And so for me, it's a whole lot simpler to do it that way. But also, because of COVID, the roundtable did drop back their requirements. So for example, it's about a third, 30% reduction. So top of the table, I just happen to know, was 630 this year. And so if you had more income than 630,000, guess what? You qualified for top of the table. And then just basically divide that in 2 for core of the table, and divide that 630 by 6. And that's what it takes for qualification MDRT on an income basis. So they wanted to make it very easy for folks around the world to be able to continue their membership. And on top of that, if you qualified last year, you don't have to send anything in. You can just re-up at whatever level you were. So if you were basic MDRT, great, just pay your dues and that's it, you're requalified. This year's meeting, the annual meeting, is probably still going to be a virtual meeting. And so it is planned for New Orleans. They're telling us that it is going to be virtual, but there may be some opportunities to have some live interaction. How they're going to do that? Got no idea. The international conference, though, which is going to be in Singapore, that should be great. And that one, they are planning on having that as live. And so that's August 29th through September 1st. The MDRT international meetings are really fantastic. And the top of the table meeting going to be Amelia Island this year in
What? What do you make what?
So if can y'all mute yourself if you haven't already, unless you are going to say something. All right.
Sorry.
Sure. I love you and forgive you. Just mute yourself, please. And then the top of the table meeting, as I said, is October in Amelia Island. There's also the EDGE meeting, and that is, this will be the live as well. The plan is in Philadelphia. This meeting is strictly for North Americans. So there's about 350 to 400 people that come. And it's for those that have been overwhelmed by the annual meeting, 13,000 people that show up. This is a great way to go back to the roots of MDRT. So it's phenomenal speakers, but in a very small, contained environment where you get to meet so many different people. So it's just Canadians and US members that are attending. So that one's great as well, but that one is planned to be live back in Philadelphia. All righty, so let's go back to our agenda. Okay, so that our next meeting is going to be May 4th, so it's every 3 months. And by the way, I also want to thank Rob Gashow. I didn't make him work too hard on this last one, but if you've got any questions or thoughts for topics or things you want to do, either reach out to Rob or myself, and we'll fit that in. We've got some great lineups for May, August, and then November. Okay, so with that, let me go and grab. Okay, so Cindy Guzzo. Cindy's been in the financial service world and the insurance business since 1980. Now, guys, I know she looks so young, you can't believe that, but that's what it says on the paper. So I'm just going to have to accept that that's the truth. But I've known Cindy, as I say, for many, many years, and always see her in the advanced planning, the advanced tax stuff, executive comp sessions at MDRT. And so she joined Pacific Southwest Financial Group, and we have several folks in today. My twin is with them as well. I think he's logged in. But anyway, so Cindy has just a depth of practical experience. She was in private practice, and they managed to steal her away to bring her in to Pacific Southwest to be an advisor to the agents there. She also advises agents outside of Pacific Southwest. So they have general agency contracts with a number of different companies. So if you're working on a thorny case, you're trying to figure out how to approach it, that's where you can work with Cindy and with Tim, her partner there. And so they get the override and you get the base commission. So it's a pretty sweet transaction, very similar, I think, to what Terry Kaltenbaugh is doing as well. So we can access really, truly great technicians and everybody wins. So Cindy, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you're going to do a more formal introduction of Tim, and I'm also going to turn this over so that we'll make Tim the presenter. And by the way, before I disappear on you, at the bottom of your screen, I think most of you are familiar, there's a chat box. So if you've got a question for Cindy and Tim, just put that in the chat box. We will take a few of the questions before we switch over to Max Volka. But so if you have some questions, chat it, drop it in there, if you would, please. Okay, so let me, Tim, you moved down my screen. Where are you here? Hey, my twin, Keith Eck, how are you, bro?
Good. How are you doing? I just have picture up because nobody wants to watch me eat not pretty. It's worse than listening to me.
Very good. Well, mom always did like you best anyway. So, but much better to look at. So, okay, Tim, I'm making you the host and you now have the floor to show your screen.
All right. Cindy, do you want to start?
I can. I mean, RJ kind of introduced us. Tim and I have been partners now for about 3 or 4 years. Oh, there I am. Hello. As RJ said, I was in personal production and still a little bit, but mostly Tim and I have been working through the general agency of Pacific Southwest Financial, a Capitas partner, which is a national firm. And we assist independent agents with cases, and we have a full staff. We have take care of the underwriting, we take care of the licensing, and so we act in a lot of cases for some advisors as a full insurance back office, and that's what we like to do. So we've been doing that now for about 4 or 5 years. I have been a longtime MDRT member. I think I've gone to like 30 meetings, and now I'm a pretty much a life member. And hope to maybe go again. I'd like to hear that it's in New Orleans. That was one of my favorite places. So we're going to talk about a couple of subjects. I'm sure you all are familiar with them, but maybe we can go a little bit deeper. And if you have any questions or you need to contact us later, we're happy to help. As RJ said, we're pretty much general agents. Don't go on the app. Just work as the general agent, putting the business through and helping you develop the case. So with that, I'm going to introduce my much younger partner, Tim, and he has been around for about, what, 10 years now in the business, or longer than that, Tim, maybe.
Well, yeah, a little longer.
Yeah,
So, all right.
and I'm going to turn it over to him. He's going to talk about long-term care.
Thanks, Cindy, and thanks, RJ, for the opportunity to speak to this group. As Cindy just told you, my name is Tim Lionel, and I've been in my current position as a life, long-term care, and disability consultant since 2008. So at Capitas Financial or Pacific Southwest Financial, we work very hard to present sophisticated, unbiased solutions for your clients. And every client is a unique situation. It's our job to help match your client up with the product that best fits their unique situation. So I'm going to share my screen here. Host disabled screen sharing. RJ, are you able to give me screen sharing?
Sure. Well, actually, I think it's disabled. It's not showing for you yet, though.
It says when I click share screen, host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, let me click on that, and then I will unclick. So you should see if that tells Zoom that it's now been released. Hang on. Okay, try it again. Let's see if that.
Didn't
working.
work. Let's see. No.
Let me try one more thing here. So,
RJ, you're not sharing your screen. There
Oh,
he is.
it says you are now the host. I bet that's going to do it. All right. Yep, that's going to do it. Okay.
this is why I normally take everything over on my computer, so we're not back and forth. But okay. Little bigger.
So one of the most discussed topics that Cindy and I hear and talk about on a daily basis is long-term care and how to pay for it. So many of your clients are in their 50s and 60s and are providing or managing care for their own parents, and some have the benefits to offset the costs and some don't. However, all of them see the cost of care and don't want to be a burden on their children financially or emotionally when the time comes for them.
Jim, can you make your screen just a little bigger, please? Either bottom right side of your screen, or there you go.
Oh, this. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
Great, thanks.
So as you can see on this slide, the costs are significant for long-term care. In San Diego, it averages over $10,000 per month for a semi-private room in a long-term care facility.
Now we lost the numbers. Now you need to make it a little bit smaller because we lost your numbers. So you need to either. There you go.
exactly
那为
38
什么你不能30？你不是25万吗？
by the 11th. So give us a call, 909-794-7706.
不知道他乱怎么乱变成
Is that-
Please mute yourselves.
对了，就回个点会出来不？
可是你又80又 more or less，那你叫他怎么决定？
我都
I'll
回
remind
个
you we need to get
被
a
找
payment
被找
for
扣还
the
是
personal articles policy by the 11th. So give us a call, 909-794-7706.
最主要的 concern 是30万，然后你也是一定要 OK。我想说，因为你给的那个 criteria 要有一个 fix，就是你不变的是什么 ？OK， 所以你不变的30万，你不变的是2500两次，然后你的 systematic amount 是可以
Hi,
变的。
Elizabeth. Howard Clark calling you back. We mailed the, yeah, we mailed that,
Yang.
there you go,
是
Judy.
80
Something like
要
that.
变的
没了
Jeez.
80
Yeah,
or
okay,
or less。
we need to add a couple of.
没了，因为18这个兄弟啊，所以我
Is there a way to mute from my end? Is the
I'm
host-
trying to, unfortunately, with
systematic amount paid
Yeah,
till
yeah, okay.
age 60。因为我觉得
Tim, you're going to have to mute it on your side because I'm no longer the host.
Yeah, I'm trying here. I'm looking to see how to do that.
Yeah, go to the participant list and then just click on their microphones.
premium software 可能。
Oh, okay. Each one, I got you.
Yeah, I think that's Ling that is the.
Yeah, I got you. Yep. All right. I think we're good. Sorry about that.
That's
Okay.
all your fault.
So, so in San Diego, the average cost for semi-private rooms over $10,000. So it's a significant burden. And according to Genworth's cost of care report, the long-term care benefits have averaged 19 to 67% increases over the past 15 years, which well outpaces the average inflation in the U.S. Next page. So in this piece, we have there's three ways to buy long-term care, and all of the ways have all the triggers for long-term care are the same. Doctor needs to certify that you need significant help to do 2 of 6 activities of daily living, or have severe cognitive impairment. The 6 activities of daily living are bathing, dressing, toileting, eating, transferring, and continence. So there's 3 ways to fund long-term care policies, and the first way is on the far left, and it has the picture of the little piggy bank, and that is the traditional long-term care. And what is this? This is pay as you go. There's no short pays. You have to pay every year. The guarantees are not the premiums are not guaranteed and can be raised in the future. This is typically dollar for dollar. This is the least expensive way to fund long-term care. However, a portion of the percentage of the people with it will never use it. So it's a lost premiums if it's not used, because there's no cash value and no death benefit associated with it. And you can get inflation protection on it. So this is a pay-as-you-go. It is traditional. There's less and less carriers are participating in this type of business. The second type of policy is in the middle here, and that's asset-based. And this asset-based type of policy is similar to, there's name brands out there like MoneyGuard, Nationwide Care Matters, Securian. There's a bunch of carriers are now participating in this with these types of policies, and these are typically paid as a single premium or up to 10 premium or up to 10 pay. You can add inflation protection. There is typically a return of premium feature on these, which is usually 80% to 100% of the premium should plans change and you want to get out of the policy. And then there's a death benefit associated with these, which is typically slightly more than what the premiums paid into the policy are. So this is a strong long-term care benefit, money back option. And then if you pass away without using it, there is some sort of death benefit associated with it. So you can kind of get your money back there. The premium is not going to go to waste in this situation. Someone's going to get paid one way or another. And then the third way to buy it is a long-term care policy, a life insurance, traditional life insurance policy with the long-term care rider. And what this is, the insurance carrier will advance your death benefit to you up to 4% a month. should you qualify for long-term care with the same triggers as everything else, 2 of 6 activities of daily living. These policies this rider can go on any type of policy, a UL, IUL, VUL, whatever policy works best for your client. Many carriers have them, and they'll put them on multiple different types of policies. And there's premium flexibility in this, meaning you can design this as a single pay all the way out to an all pay. You can pay to 65, whatever works for your design and your client. That's how these can be designed. On this one, there are 2 different kinds of riders. There's a long-term care rider and a chronic illness rider. And what's the difference? The major difference at the moment is they're registered under different IRS regulations. It used to be that chronic illness riders needed to have permanency for the ailment, meaning you would never recover from this ailment. A doctor says this person's going to need care for the rest of their life. Most of the time, that is not true anymore. So most of the chronic illness riders do not require permanency. However, it's something to be aware of when you're choosing it, because there are some, and usually they're the ones that are added on for free that you only pay for if you use later on. Those are oftentimes require permanency, but something to consider when choosing a product and a rider for long-term care. And then this chart here kind of shows all the different kind of decision making between the different products and what works. But I guess the point to take away from this is there's a lot of different decision making points in these products that you need to pay attention to, whether it's indemnity versus reimbursement, or if the waiting periods can last from 0 days to 180 days or somewhere in between. So these are all different things that will factor into the decision of what's the best product for your client, and there's something to consider when making your decisions. All right, and then this last slide is just a generic spreadsheet that we like to put together when comparing different products for a client. So that way we can look side by side on what the benefit that you're going to receive now, the benefit that you're going to receive in the future, what the waiting period is, or what the benefit type is, reimbursement or indemnity, how long the benefit period will last. So these are all, if there's compound inflation or not. These are all decision-making points that kind of make it easier to compare different products side by side, so that the insured gets the best product for their situation. And the bottom line in the long-term care world is that there's many options to find coverage for long-term care, and it's important to consider all the options to make sure that the solution is right for your client. I'd recommend that you lean on a long-term care expert to help design the correct policy for your client. And with all that being said, I'm going to hand it back to Cindy, who's going to discuss another timely strategy that we've had a lot of success with in our current interest rate environment. Thanks for your time, everybody. And if you have questions, I think you can type them in, or maybe we'll take them at the end. However, Cindy, you're on to you.
Here. I don't see myself, but oh, there we are. I think, Tim, can you make it a little bit wider? I don't know if you can or not, but anyway, this is just a very short presentation on a concept that I'm sure most of you are familiar with and have heard. The only reason that we're really stressing it right now is why now? I mean, why is now the time to focus on this particular concept? And I don't see myself, I don't know if that's important or not, but I do need that screen to be just a little bit bigger, Tim, if you can do that. Well, no, I need to, there we go. The fact that interest rates right now are so low, and interest rates are always a significant factor in high net worth planning. And certain strategies become even more effective or attractive in different rate environments. Low interest rates present the opportunity to transfer wealth with lower estate and gift tax implications. And there's more on this slide, but I can't see it. So I'm going to grab my cheat sheet over here.
Cindy, in the top right of your screen, there should be something that says view, and you want to
Yeah.
hit standard view.
Should I try that? Here,
Yeah.
let me try the full screen view. No,
It says standard view.
I'm there. I'm at standard view. Oh, I see myself.
Go side by side gallery, and that should give you, you'll see yourself. There'll be a thumbnails on the side, but then the main.
Right. But see, the screenshot is small. It's cutting off some of the presentation, which,
Okay. How's
Okay.
that?
so let's go to the next slide.
Gee, we rehearsed this yesterday, and gang, I wish you'd been there. It just came off without a hitch.
Yeah, we didn't have any problems yesterday at all. So let's talk about the interest rate environment we're in. We've got the short-term applicable federal rate, the midterm, and the long-term. And now those are the rates that the IRS use when we're doing these intra-family loans. So the significance is, look down here at December 2017. You can see, let's just concentrate right now on the midterm. You can see that the rate then was 2.11. Then in 2018, it went up to 3.07. Then in 2019, it went to 1.69. And look where it is or was in October, and it still is today, 0.38%. That means that that is the rate that the IRS allows us to use to loan money to a trust. Okay, so you can see it's a significant difference. So the why now, we're in a just historically low interest rate. I've been around for a while, and when I think about the first house that my husband and I bought, we paid 14% interest on the house. So when I look at 0.38%, it's kind of just mind-boggling. But on top of such a low interest rate environment, what else do we have today? We have an incredibly high exemption amount. Now, as we all know, we've got a brand new administration. We don't know what's going to happen. Pretty much the thought is the IRS does not want to be punitive. So any planning that's done prior to that change, traditionally, it usually stays in place. Can't guarantee it. But when you have such a high exemption rate and you have such a low interest environment, there's a lot of opportunity right now to do planning with your really high net worth clients. And you can see the effect of the perfect storm. Very low interest rate environment, very high exemption. And that is why we're talking to our clients. We've done a lot of these presentations. We've actually been able to do them on Zoom with the client. And most of the time, if the client has this issue and is interested in doing some estate tax planning, the only comment that I've gotten from attorneys and from the client and from the advisors that we might be working with is, why wouldn't I do this? So this is what we're talking about. It's called an intra-family loan. The parameters are, it's generally somebody age 55 or older who has substantial assets valued in excess of the lifetime exemption amount. So obviously right now, if it's someone who's worth 10 million, you know, they're not worried too much about doing that kind of planning. Depends on how old they are. If there's somebody who's worth about 10, 15 million and they're only, 45 years old and they have really growth potential, it may still be something that's of interest to them. And they don't want to use their lifetime exemption. They want to preserve it depending on what happens in the future. They want to minimize the gift taxation, which I'll talk about in a minute. They have substantial cash or cash equivalent assets on hand. And they have children or grandchildren that they care about. They want to be able to leave their estate to their children and grandchildren. I'm sure you've had the same situation. I did a big estate planning case not too long ago, and at the end of it, the fellow said, "Do you mean all of this is going to go to my children?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, then I'm not doing it." So they have to love somebody. Life insurance is having to love somebody and leave something to them. So let's look at a case example. Let's pretend it's December 2018. And our client has a lot of cash on hand, not securities. It has to be actually cash that they have that they can loan to their irrevocable grantor trust. And they're loaning 5 million over. And we're going to assume that we can get 4% growth, which would be $200,000 a year. That would provide about 45,000 plus for life insurance, which would give them around $1,254,000 of death benefit. Now, the reason it says Prudential is because Prudential provided us these slides. So be any insurance company, we're not tied to Prudential. And if you can see, at 45,000, that's what we can buy is $1,350,000. I can't even see the screen myself, but $1,254,000. The loan interest, of course, would go back to the grantor on an annual basis. Sometimes we can do an accrual, but on this particular slide, it's an annual basis. A lot of the question is that taxed to the grantor? No, it's not. It's not considered taxable because he's loaning it to himself. So the interest payment on the intra-family loan is not taxable. However, on that $200,000, which would be capital gains, the grantor would actually have to pay the capital gain on that $200,000. Let's go to today's environment instead of 2018. Well, now we have the same 5 million going over to the irrevocable trust. We have the same 4% growth at 200,000, but at that 0.38% interest rate, look how much money we have to buy life insurance. That's quite a bit. And we're able to get over $4 million, almost $5 million of death benefit. You can also see that the loan interest is only 19,000, but of course, because there's no tax on it, it's really irrelevant. Real value is the fact that we can buy so much more than we could have just 2 years ago. What happens at the end of the 9 years? You have a couple of options. The loan, because of the way it's structured, does have to be paid back to the grantor. It goes back into the estate. Yet that can be handled one of two ways. Either we can reconstitute it as a gift against the estate tax, or we can do what they call a rolling grat, just start another grat, start the whole process over again. Let's look at the next slide here. And it says assets gifted. It's actually gifted or loaned. In our example, we're loaning the money. We're not gifting the 5 million. And you can see the difference in the interest rate between December 2018 and now, 0.38%. And the difference in what you can provide to the heirs, almost 5 million versus $1.2 million. So if you have clients that are in that high net worth space, this is something that you should be talking to them about in conjunction with their estate attorney, and we're happy to help any way we can. We do have a very advanced estate planning team on the East Coast that helps us put together presentations. And as I said, we managed to do a few of these on Zoom and not even having to do it in person, which seems so weird to me because I'm not much of a Zoom person here, but I'm learning. Okay, let's go to this slide. This is just a approximate federal estate tax payable in 2020. You can see if your total net worth is where it is here, 22 million or 23 million, right now you'd pay no estate tax. And as we go down, you can see as your estate grows or as the estate grows, you could pay up to $70 million. Let's go to the next slide, Tim. However, we know we have a sunset clause coming, or we might have a huge change in the tax law. And you can see here where the taxes could be substantially more than in today's environment. So regardless of what happens, whether we get the new tax reform and the lower estate exemption, we still have the sunset coming up. So now is the best time to try to do some planning, at least get them interested in doing some planning and maybe be able to save a lot of tax dollars. I think that that is it. RJ, any questions? Keith, if you have a question, you can just walk across the hall.
So one thing that I wanted to, get myself off video. So one thing, Cindy, in the presentation you did say that it needs to be a cash transfer.
Mhm.
Why does it need to be a cash transfer? Well, my
You know, we
understanding-
kind of went through this on a big client that we worked with in the fall, and you can possibly use negotiable stocks, but the IRS frowns on that. It's basically a loan of cash. And so all of the estate planning attorneys that we talked to all confirmed that they would prefer it be cash and not get into having it being a commodity or real estate or anything like that. I'm sure that there's going to be other opinions out there, but that is the opinion of the advanced planning team that we work with.
Mhm. And the second question is the 0.38%. That was a short-term AFR, applicable federal.
I think that was the midterm.
Okay, so just now, January's rates, long-term rates at 1.38 and midterm is just a little bit below that. So rates obviously have gone up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah,
That would
but not
show-
much.
So anything above 9 years and above is long-term AFR. So I'm assumably then you're just using the midterm rate. That's what's,
In this particular presentation, we're using the midterm rate. We worked with an estate planning attorney and he wanted to use long-term rates, and that was his preference. But again, deferring to our advanced estate planning team, they usually design it on a 9-year and using the midterm rates.
okay. So yeah, just a minor correction there. So it'd have to be under 9 years to be the midterm rate. So it's 9 years
Right.
and above is long-term rate. So
After 9 years, yes.
other questions, anything that anyone wants to know? The nice thing about this is that it certainly is a lot easier transaction than trying to do premium financing, because premium financing, number one, you're going to be looking at higher rates. Like right now, we're seeing the lowest rate right now we're using is 2% and up. So to be able to use these lower rates is a lot easier. Plus, you don't have to go through all the proof of loan eligibility. It's just simply grandpa or the grandparents or the parents are putting money in the trust and then getting it back, and there's no loan approval, no nothing. So
Right.
this is a
Right.
terrific way.
Loan to self.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, you know, I'm sure everyone's worked on premium financing cases, and sometimes, sometimes the jumping through the hoops, it has to be really the right fit. So this is something to think about. And again, if you have a case, we're happy to help you with it. And again, we don't go on the application. We're simply there just to be a general agent.
Okay, so we'll be having some time, a little bit more time for Q&A as we go along, but let's go now into our friend Max Volka. So Tim, if you can make me back the presenter.
Already
And
did.
oh, cool. Thank you. I love people that are thinking ahead of me. I love it. Let me do this and get.
RJ,
Yes, Terry.
before Max starts, I have to ask, is Tim's father David, I'm assuming?
Yes.
I know your dad
Yes.
really well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, did business with him years ago when I was at Pac Life, so.
I
Tell him hi
get
for me.
that. I get that a lot at these meetings, actually.
Is he retired? Is he retired now?
Yes. Yes.
Give him my best when you talk to him. Thanks.
I will, for sure. Thank you.
Basically, it pays to keep a clean nose because Terry knows everybody. You know, when you've had many years of service and commitment to giving back, you meet everybody. Which, by the way, San Diego, if we have the National Association of Financial Advisors, NAFA, but unfortunately, San Diego chapter closed just because there was not enough participation. And so there is a movement right now between MDRT and NAFA to support NAFA. So I was chatting with Linda Harris yesterday, who is spearheading an effort to get NAFA back for San Diego. And so if you know members that are still in NAFA, great, let us know. We can add them to our study group list. And we're over the next 4 months, so starting in March, April, May, and June, we're going to be featuring an MDRT member or a panel of MDRT members for NAFA to, again, do what we can to help support our brethren because we're in Sistren, because we're all in this together. Unfortunately, our study group is the last remaining advanced planning group in San Diego. I mean, there's certainly groups like Capitus and things that are doing in-house, but the Society for Financial Service Professionals is gone. NAFA is gone from San Diego. So you all that have been now in this study group, many of you have been with me for 10 years in this group. We're it. So, you know, it's an area that I don't take lightly, but it's where we're here to learn from each other. And so again, appreciate everybody that's been a part and especially for so many years for many of you. So, okay. So I think there's Mr. Max. So 6 years ago, a little bit longer than that, I was speaking for the Dunham Advisory, which is a mutual fund group here in San Diego based here in San Diego anyway. And so I had the privilege of being a speaker for them. And on break, one of Sal Capizzi, the executive vice president, said, hey, you know, have you ever met Max Bolka? I said, I don't think I have. He says, oh, you've got to meet Max. You'll love him. So I did meet Max. I did, I won't say I love Max, but he's got a much better mustache than I'll ever grow in 100 years. But very quickly, it went beyond love to a deep respect, great admiration. And he has been a featured speaker for Dunham for many times. And so hired him as my coach, and no surprise that for 6 years in a row now, we've had record years for production. And while I can't give all the credit of that to Max, I can sure give a lot of that to Max. So he's become a great friend. He advises financial advisors all across the country. He's going to mention also something that we do together that is open for those that decide they want to hire him for at least a short program that he's got. But the very first referral that I got from that generated $40,000 of income that first year. And every year since, we are north of $30,000 of income just from the first referral. So even if I struck out at that, and I didn't, just yesterday, we got hired for $15,000 annual fee by a family, interestingly enough, out of the Philippines. The guy's not even a US citizen, but because of this connection that Max, I didn't even tell you that, I don't think. Anyway, so he just hired me yesterday, brought 2 of his 9 kids in to meet me. And so again, Max has this program that has certainly been very beneficial for us, but he'll maybe tell us a little bit more about that. So Max, I'm going to turn it, bring up your, oops, sorry, I actually need to start showing it. This morning, y'all, I sent out something that Max put together for us. And Max, do you want me to give you the screen, or you want me just to run this down?
I'll take the screen.
Okay.
I've got slides.
Oh, very cool.
So I thought everybody was going to print this out, but don't worry about it. I'll give you a filled in copy later.
Okay.
Let's just do the show.
Do the show. Very good.
Yeah.
So you are now the host, my friend. So take it away.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet, but try one more time.
It says show of hands, please. Let's try it again. Wait a minute. Now you should see.
Coming.
Okay. Good. Everybody's good?
You bet.
Okay. So show of hands. How many of you had a record 2020? Raise your hand. Good. I had a record 2020. RJ had a record 2020. 75% of my financial advising clients had a 2020. What's the difference between those who had a record year and those who struggled through 2020? You can have a record year despite an uncertain market, an uncertain economy, and a worldwide pandemic. What's the difference? I would purport to you that 90% of your success depends on what happens right here between your ears. For those of you who are not familiar, how many of you either have or have not heard me speak before? Raise your hand on the screen. Okay, almost everybody have or have not heard me speak. All right, RJ, I was told this was the advanced group.
Absolutely.
My name is Max Bolka. I'm going to talk for the next 29 minutes on success as a state of mind. For those of you who have seen this before, this is the COVID-19 edition. So there's some new things in here. And as RJ mentioned, I'm a 30+ year veteran of the financial services industry. I built a nationwide planning and investment clientele. And I also do financial advisor mentoring all over the country, like people like RJ and like yourself. And I have guaranteed marketing programs, 2 of which I will tell you at the end. We also do comprehensive legacy planning and master planning for business owners. Comprehensive legacy planning, for those of you, the way I define it, is where I work with advisors like yourself to help your clients transfer the non-financial assets. You do the financial assets, but what about their values as well as their valuables? What about good stewardship? What about philanthropy? These are all the non-financial aspects of it. We strengthen family unity. Everybody knows that over 90% of intergenerational wealth transfers fail by the time that those assets reach the 3rd generation, the grandkids. They might get an inheritance, but there's no real lasting legacy. And I'm here to tell you, it's not because of the finances. Doesn't matter if it's 1 million, 10 million, 50 million, it's the non-financial, it's the family that starts to get resented and resentful. And then they start lawsuits. And you read about this every day in the newspaper. You remember newspapers, in the media, right? But as you might suspect, it happens every day for non-celebrities. It's just not reported. So we have to strengthen the family unity and preserve the multi-generational wealth. We help them get into the 10% of successful wealth transfers. Same thing for master planning for business owners. Very briefly, we help prepare and grow the business owner for both the business and the business owner for their eventual exit. It's like exit planning plus. It might be an internal transfer, it might be an external sale, it might be in full, it might be partial. There's a million different things in between now on that spectrum. We do it up to 99% tax-free. You tell a business owner, I can sell your business for you tax-free, $10 million, you get to keep it all. You've got their attention. Now, if you tell them that you can help them invest it afterwards and only pay a fee if it goes up in value, because it's a performance-based fee, and they'll say, okay, let's keep talking. So this is what I do with advisors around the country as part of mentoring. The standard mentoring is sales, marketing, time management, goals, mission, the big 10 questions every client is thinking if they don't ask, everything, staffing from start to finish. Then we go to the advanced, the comprehensive legacy planning and the master planning for business owners. I'm a huge fan of personal development as a basis for professional success. I'm in a book. You can see there, Les Brown, Mark Victor Hansen, Deepak Chopra. It's called Success as a State of Mind. I am in the process of pulling my portion out of that book and rewriting it, expanding it into a total book called What Else? Take It to the Max, Proven Principles for Achieving 200% Success. I'm also in a movie called The Keeper of the Keys with Jack Canfield, who did Chicken Soup for the Soul, and Dr. John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. But it was Robert De Niro who once told me, Max, do not name drop. It is not cool at all. So that's a little bit about what I do. Let's talk about your definition of success. Let's start at the beginning. Success is a state of mind. How do you define success? I threw up some points there. Everybody wants enough money to be comfortable. Maybe you even want to be rich. Meaningful work, good health, loving family relationships, hobbies, maybe travel, get back to traveling, and make a difference. Have some sense of significance, right? The good news is you get to decide what success means to you. That's the point of this slide. You get to decide. Don't let anybody else, the way you were brought up, your past, the culture, the environment, you get to decide. I have what I call 7 signs of success, the 7 F's: faith, family, friends, finance, fitness, freedom, and fun. Okay, I'm big on the 7 F's. And my motto for this year is more fun in 21. Okay, more fun in 21. So my personal definition of success is 200% success. That's what I go for, 100% outer achievement plus 100% inner fulfillment. And it's the inner fulfillment part that's missing for a lot of people today. And I'm from the school that I don't think does you any good to be successful on the outside, to be rich and be miserable. It's just, I've come to the point in my life that's just not going to work. So there's an old saying, money can't buy happiness, but it can allow you to be miserable in a much nicer part of town. So a lot of people define their happiness with outer circumstances. They say, I'll be happy when I make a certain amount of money, I have a car, I have a house, I have everything, you know, all the external things. When my spouse acts a certain way, when my neighbor acts a certain way, when half the country acts a certain way, the way I want them to act. This is what we're into right now. There's very few people are actually happy, right? So the external, I have found it's an internal. And Dr. Albert Schweitzer said, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. This is what I have found. The happiness comes first. The happier you are, the happier I have found that the happier I become, the more successful I become. Have you found that as well? Think of it. It makes sense. Don't we all want to do business with people who are happy? I mean, I'll do business with somebody who's not happy if I have to, but if I don't have to, I don't want to. And I think people gravitate towards that. So I work on my own happiness first, and then the success follows. Okay. So how do you develop a successful mindset? Well, going way back to that first book, Success is a State of Mind, I discovered there's two essential beliefs in the belief system that successful people hold. Number one, they believe it's possible. Do you really think it's possible to have a record year despite all the issues that are out there? Do you really think it's possible? Well, it's very easy to prove it. You know, people in the room right there, RJ Kelly had his 6th record year in a row despite the ups and downs out there. Okay, there's, like I said, 75% of my advisors had a record year. I had a record. It's easy to prove. And if the room isn't big enough and you don't have somebody in the room who's doing it, go online. No matter what you want to accomplish, go online and you're going to find people who are doing it or have done it in the past. It is possible. So that reasoning doesn't hold water, but you have to believe it's possible. Okay. The second belief that successful people hold is that you deserve it. And this is the much trickier one. Do you really believe that you deserve to have a record year or maybe double your income this year? It's already 1 month is already down. How can you do it? Right? Double your income, have a record year, or do you think, oh, well, I don't want to work that hard. I'm going to have to give up my time, my health, my family, et cetera, et cetera. These are all your internal belief systems. We all have a success thermostat, right? Where we're comfortable. I don't care if it's in money, in career, in work, in health, in love. We all have this comfort zone. And just think of it like a thermostat. We set it at, let's say, 70. And you have a bad month, a bad year, it goes down to 68, 65. What happens? Man, you get in there and you work like the devil, right? You're going to bring it in. You work day and night to get that back up into your comfort zone. There's some variance there. I forget what you call it, but some leeway that the thermostat is set for. Maybe it won't kick in until 68, right? But it goes down to 65 and you actively participate. You bring that back up to 70. Maybe it goes up to 72, 73, 75. You're hot. You're on fire. And then what happens? Most people say, well, I did it. That's it. That's good. So I'm going to relax a little bit. I'm going to cool it off. Maybe even the air conditioning kicks on to bring it back down to 70. In achievement and personal development, we call that putting your foot on the brake. Right? And if it gets severe enough, you even sabotage yourself. I'm willing to bet everybody on this webinar, either yourself or you've seen somebody else sabotage their own success where it comes to health, in an instance where it comes to health or finances, career, money, love, etc. Why do we do that? Okay. This is what I mean by success is a state of mind. Don't sabotage your success. Take your foot off the brake and fly. That's what the rest of this talk is going to be about. So the very first principle, where do we start? We've got our definition of success. Where do we start? The first principle is you must take 100% personal responsibility for both your business and your life, for your life and your happiness. Now, I get a lot of pushback on this. You know, when I'm standing up in front of a live crowd, if you guys were able to talk right now, you're thinking, oh, Max, you don't understand, right? I'll give you 60%, 70%, but not 100%. You don't understand. To the degree that you do not take 100% personal responsibility for your inner life, which then projects out to your outer success, I believe you become a victim. I want you to be a victor, not a victim. The world is never going to be exactly the way you want it. Everybody tries to manage every aspect of the outer world. Well, as you see right now, unless you're running for office and you vote, that's the power you have, but that's it. You don't control the rest of the politics. You can't tell what's going to happen this year, right? Or the stock market or the economy, which, by the way, we're in one of the only COVID-proof, not only COVID-proof, but a very fortunate position of being in a COVID-proof business. You know, I count my blessings every day that we're in this business and we get to help other people who might not be as fortunate. But you have to take personal responsibility, okay? But Max, you don't understand. I can hear you thinking right now, Max, you don't understand. You don't live in my state. You don't work for my company. You don't have my boss. You're not married to my spouse. You don't have to spend time. I got kids. Max, your kid is grown. You have more time. I don't have that kind of time to commit to that. You don't have my financial hardships. I've been in trouble financially, whatever, right? And I can give you references of people on this webinar who have been in dire financial straits who are now doing just fine. And I'm encouraging them to write a book about it, okay? Hey, Max, you don't understand. You don't have my physical challenges. Well, who gets to do something about that? We all know stories of people who have any kind of challenges and have overcome them to be wildly successful. So you can't say that. It's not only possible, but the question is, do you deserve it? Do you want to do it? Okay. Well, wait, there's more. Max, you don't understand. Everything has changed. This is the new normal. You have to get used to it. You have to accept it. This is the way it's going to be. The world has changed forever. Life will never be the same. Well, with all due respect to the seriousness of COVID and what's going on, your clients need you now more than ever. My only question is, do you know what to do? Most advisors admit to me, and I see it directly, they're not even taking care of their existing clients the way they think they should. How can they go for more? So they're just kind of sitting on the sidelines. But that's great for those of us who want to grow our business, right? So you cannot use these reasons not to do it. I'll tell you some things that haven't changed. Okay, everybody's talking about the world has changed, life on it, businesses continue. We're working at home, we're social distancing, we're all this stuff. Yeah, but it's a level playing field. It's not like I'm there speaking to you in person without a mask on and all of you have to stay home. It's a level playing field. We're all dealt the same cards. That's a good thing because somebody who had a really distinct advantage of being in person is now has to do the same thing you do and they have to adjust to it. And I can grow my business anywhere. I don't have to be limited to San Diego. Okay. I have clients all over the country. When I was in the business for 30 years, I had clients all over the country. Now I coach for the last 25 years. I've been coaching, mentoring, training, speaking financial all over the country. My business was built for social distancing. It didn't hurt me. Webinars like this are a step up. I used to have to do it all on the phone. Now you can see my pretty face and do it, right? I don't know if that's an advantage. I think I have a face for radio. What do you think? So I'll tell you what hasn't changed. Financial planning principles like live within your means. Investment principles like buy low, sell high, right? So it reminds me of the time 2 times ago, the other 2 times where the world ended. Remember this? Y2K in 2000, and then 2009 with the Great Recession, 50% drop in the market. And now here we are in 2021. Everybody's licking wounds from 2020. Not everybody. Some people have record years. And here we go again. So it reminds me of the 4 most dangerous words ever uttered by investors. You know what they are? Pretty well known by now. This time it's different. Max, you don't understand. This time it's different. Well, I don't think it's that different. Okay? You always have a choice. You always have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't have to play the game. You can rewrite the rules of the game. You can do whatever you want. I can stand up right now and turn this thing off and go have lunch right in the middle of this webinar. It has consequences, but I have a choice. I could do anything I want, and so can you. So you always have a choice. Everything else is just what? Everything else is just what? I'm telling you, the word I'm going to throw up now is the #1 killer of your business growth in 2021. Everything else is an excuse. Do not fall prey to the disease of excusatitis. That'll kill your business growth. I've been mentoring financial advisors for 25 years, and like any good consultant like you guys and ladies are, I start with, what can I do for you? If I could wave a magic wand and solve your biggest, in my case, practice management challenge today, you would say your financial challenges. What would that be? And for 25 years, I've been asking financial advisors, and they always say the same 2 things. Can you believe that? For 25 years, they always say the same 2 things: marketing and time management. That's the biggest top 2 challenges. And nothing's changed since COVID. It's marketing and time management. So that's another thing that hasn't changed. So let's talk about time management for just a minute. How many people here have all the time they need? No problem at all. You can waste as much time as you want, and you're not going to have any stress. No, we all have time management challenges. So I could go into practical time management, but #1, that would take too much time. And #2, this talk is about success as a state of mind. So let's talk about the inner game. Successful people don't waste time. They don't use it as an excuse. It's just one more piece to the puzzle for them. Here's the question. Everything you do should be pegged to your goals. Practical time management starts with goal setting. Every year in December, I send out basically the same email, and it's basically update your goals for the next year, in this case, 2021. Everything you do is pegged to your goals. If you're spending your time every day, whatever you're doing, if you're not doing this, what are you doing? By definition, things that are not getting you closer to what you're saying is most important to you. Okay, now if you have to do something in order to clear your plate to get to this, that's a different story, but there's very few of those. Everything you do should be pegged to your goals. So the question is, how do you feel about time? How do you feel about time? If you're limited now, if you're working 24 hours a day now, 7 days a week, and you're making $250,000 a year, how are you ever going to get to $500,000 a year? Your time is all used up. You don't believe you have enough time. And I'm here to tell you, you do, because the guy down the street is doing it. Ultimately, all time management is self-management. All time management is self-management. You will notice as you manage, or dare I say master, your beliefs around time, you will find that you have more time and better time. I'm going to give you 2 examples here. We talked about the book, Success is a State of Mind. I'm in that book with Deepak. So this is who I'm talking about here. Deepak is a famous worldwide author. He's very successful. He's written 88 books. And every time he's interviewed, they say, how do you have time to do all this stuff? This is what he said. I don't believe in time. It's a man-made construct. So you can say, well, that's all well and good, Max, but I'm not Deepak, and I'm not a personal development author. I'm a hardcore financial advisor. Okay. I will tell you that there is one financial advisor right there in San Diego, and he's a money manager. He has 60 clients, 375 million under management. 2 years ago, he moved overseas for a year, ended up working less, earning more, and being less stressed. Can't say it's impossible. Can't say. The question is, do you really believe it's possible? And is one of your self-limiting core beliefs about time? Because everybody says, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. It's not true. Get specific. Okay. Okay. So to wrap up just this section, I want to leave you with these 4 ideas. All problems are in your mind. All problems are in your mind. It's not what's happening out there. It's what you do with it. It's how you feel about it and what you do with it. Change your attitude and you'll change your life. You know this to be true. You know this to be true. You're just afraid to admit it. Most people are afraid to admit it because then they have to do something about it. So we justify it. Max, you don't understand. But if you really wanted to, you change your attitude, you'll change your life. Can you really give yourself permission to accept more success? I found this one years ago. I would teach 2 advisors and they're identical in every way, shape, and form, and run them through the program, and they're saying the same things. They serve the same clients, ideal clients. They have the same product. They do everything. One is vastly more successful than the other. One was not giving themselves permission to accept more success. So if you're sitting there saying, yes, I can give myself permission. Okay, how much more? 10%, 20%, 50%? What's your goal for this year? Double your revenue? How much success can you stand? That's the question. All right, let's go through, and some of you have seen this before, so I'll keep going quickly here, but it's always good to have a reminder. Here are the 6 steps to designing your destiny. And again, I can send all this to you afterwards if you want. The first step is stay centered. You wake up every day, what do? Develop a morning success routine. Don't jump out of bed. I love these commercials, where they jump out of bed with a can of coffee or a can of soup, and they're throwing the kids in the van and drinking the soup, and that's super mom or whatever. That's a crazy way to live. Develop a success morning routine. What do you do in the morning? Some advisors, they call their hour of power, right? They do 20 minutes of prayer or meditation and 20 minutes of inspirational reading, 20 minutes of working out, physical exercise. That's their hour of power. What's your morning success routine look like? Get your day off to a start. Stay centered every single day, no matter what's happening out there. Okay. Number 2, I'm going to make a guess at this one. What's the difference between somebody making 100,000 a year and somebody making 250, or 250 and 500, or 500 and $1 million? Do they really know that much more? Are they really that much smarter than you or have skills that you don't have? Not so much. In certain cases, that's true. RJ has every credential in the book. I jokingly like to say he charges by the letters after his name. And he's got a lot of letters there. But the biggest difference between somebody who's earning X and somebody who's earning 2X or 5X is they think big. People who think big tend to achieve big things in business and in life. Okay. Somebody reportedly asked Helen Keller, is there anything worse than being blind? She said, yes, a person who has sight but no vision. Having vision, knowing where you want to go, is one of the biggest determiners. Determiners? Is that a word? It's the only word I can think of right now of meeting your goal. In fact, RJ puts it right on his card, Chief Visionary Officer. And the more I get to know him, the more I think, yeah, that's exactly what he does. Everything flows from there. So as long as you go through the trouble of thinking, you might as well think big. Why don't we think big? Because when we grow up, we remember when you were a kid, you were jumping off the stairs. You start with the first step, then you go to the second step, third step. Why do kids do that? Because darn it, we don't believe that we can't fly. We think we can fly, honestly, right? Until some adult comes down and says, stop that, you're going to hurt yourself. What are you, crazy? Right? And that's where the socializing starts. What do you think? I'm made out of money? Don't do that. You'll hurt yourself. You're too tall. You're too short. You're too black. You're too white. You're too big. You're too small. You live in the wrong side of town. Da, 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 da. What if they're wrong? What if you really can do it? All right. Anybody know who this is on the screen? It's one of my mentors. This is Sir John Templeton, knighted by the Queen of England for his philanthropic interests. And he passed away, I think, in 2008. And he was the Dean of Global Investing. There it is. Yeah, he passed in 2008. And Sir John used to say about socializing, everybody can't beat the market because everybody is the market. Everybody is the market. We're socialized to fit in. Don't think outside the box. I not only want you to think outside the box, I want you to get rid of the box altogether. You didn't design the box. It's not your box. You're going into somebody else's box. Sir John also said to get superior results, you must be willing to do something different. I would even say be a contrarian. When they zig, you zag. When they go left, you go right. They go up, you go down. Okay? Sir John used to say to buy when others are fearfully selling and to sell when others are greedily buying takes the greatest emotional fortitude, but pays the greatest financial rewards. Be a contrarian. He made a living on it. The Templeton Growth Fund, which is interesting. It's actually a value fund. We call it the Templeton Growth Fund. One of my favorites. Okay. All right. Number 3, we're centered. We're thinking big, but I want you to be specific. Everybody wants to work less, make more, lose weight, and be spiritually fulfilled, right? There's great goals, but they're not specific. If it's not measurable, you cannot do the goal. Being specific forces you to focus on what you want. If you can't measure it, it's not a good goal. Okay? And well, again, we could spend an hour just on goal setting, but you get the idea. Okay, you are centered. You're thinking big. You're being specific. It is time to take action. Take action and the universe will respond. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. It doesn't always respond the way your ego likes, but it will respond. So if you want to become more successful, you just have to start taking the action. That's it. It's a physics scientific fact. Newton's law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. In computers, it's garbage in, garbage out. In Eastern philosophy, it's karma. Karma just means action. In Western civilization, religion, as you sow, so shall you reap. Are you seeing a pattern here? Take action. All the knowledge in the world, you know, and if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen. Okay. Number 5, you got to commit. Most advisors do not commit. Most people don't commit. They dabble. They dabble in business, in relationships, in their health, in life. Dabbling won't cut it. There's too many distractions. There's too many obstacles. You don't dabble. If you want to take the island, you got to burn the boats. Leave yourself no out and you'll do it. Remember Apollo 13, Tom Hanks? Failure is not an option, right? Remember, let's go back to when you were a kid and you're riding a bike, you're 5 years old, you're riding a bike with training wheels and you're practicing, and then comes that fateful day when they take off the training wheels, push you down the road, and what happens? Bam, you fall down. Did you get off the bike and say, that's it, put the training wheels back on, I'm done? No, you saw all the big people doing it. You want to be like them and you were committed. You were going to do it if it was going to kill you. And you did it. Those of you who have kids, how many times would you allow your kid to fall down before you said, you know what, just stay down. You're not a walker. You can't walk. You're not made for it. I know everybody else is doing it. All the big kids are walking, but you stay down. No, the kids are committed. They want to do it. If you want to take the island, you got to burn the boats. Okay? No excuse-itis. All right, number 6, you do all this. It's time to rinse and repeat. Take the action and let go of your results. It's just a game. It's all just a game. Don't take it so seriously. Nobody gets it perfect the first time out. Okay, don't look for perfection. Strive for excellence. Don't worry about perfection. And don't judge. Don't be afraid. There's no such thing as failure. It's just feedback. Successful people know it's feedback, right? Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, they fine-tuned this thing over 40 years. And it was only in the last 10 that they took over the world before Jobs passed away. Okay. But there's a lot of trial and error starting out in that garage. It's just feedback. That's all it is. Don't be afraid that you're not batting 1,000, as we say. If we were in a live audience, I'd have you all shrug your shoulder, turn to the person next to you, shrug your shoulders and say very loudly, so what? So what? Adjust your sails and move on. Just pick something that excites you, that gets you out of bed in the morning. If it doesn't pull you out of bed in the morning, stay in bed till you find something else that does pull you out of bed. RJ likes to quote Joe Vitale. And here it is. A good goal should scare you just a little and excite you a lot. And if all this is too much pressure for you, just then depersonalize the process. Don't take it so personally. I heard Tony Robbins say once, call it effective outcome development. That'll put it in its place. If you don't like what you're getting out of it, change what's going into it. Now, very briefly, for those who have been paying attention, you'll notice that we talked about time management, but we didn't talk about marketing. So I want to talk about one thing that has not changed in this COVID environment. I'm sorry, one thing that has changed in this COVID environment, and that is marketing, communicating and marketing. So how many of you have signed up to be a full-time marketer when you took this job? Not too many of us, and that's what's turning it into. But here's the truth. You know, I've been doing this for 25 years. Most advisors dabble. They either can't or won't do marketing. They half-heartedly dabble in it. And this was true before the virus. The virus just gave them an excuse not to do the marketing. So they sit around and maybe the business will grow 5 or 10% this year. Who knows? But I've got 2 guaranteed marketing programs. I'm going to show them to you right now very briefly. The first one is how to get pre-qualified referrals who are expecting your call. I've been using this myself for 38 years. I've been teaching advisors for 25 years. Everybody knows it's the #1 way top advisors get new business. The problem is they don't know how to do it. And the key is to ask with integrity. And integrity, when it comes to referrals, means you ask in a way that leaves the integrity of all the parties intact. You don't feel like you're begging, and the client does not feel pressured. If you've done any of those 2 things, you're not doing it right. What I teach is a sincere, direct, enjoyable method. I show you word for word exactly what to say and do, and just as important, word for word, what not to say and what not to do. You spend 45 minutes with me in one training session, and I guarantee results. I guarantee that you'll get referrals. Okay? So does it work? Well, I was speaking to one of my advisors right there in San Diego. He's not on the line today. Yesterday, I spoke to him. He got 9 referrals in 8 days in January. Brought in $19 million for assets under management. It's his best start to any year ever. Last year, he brought in 38 million. So he brought in half of his entire last year just through referrals. So it works. So that's the first method, guaranteed marketing method. The second one is what I call a $1 million marketing program. It's done for you marketing. You're listening to the only practice management coach, trainer, mentor, speaker who for eligible advisors comes with $1 million plus leads. And the plus is very, very important. Okay. What we do is we get you 20 to 25 data points, including name, phone, and email, income, assets, and savings, and about 15 other data points. And the prospect has requested to be contacted. Hang on. The Zoom thing is in my way. And it's guaranteed. Guaranteed means if you don't get the $1 million lead, if we don't get a $1 million lead for you, you don't get charged. You can request as many or as few as you want each month. It's variable. It's up to you. RJ's been in the program as he said. And so we guarantee results. And, oh, there you go. But even $1 million leads are useless if you can't close. Even $1 million leads are going to be useless if you can't close. So I also teach a superior sales system. I teach advisors how to close new business start to finish in 1 week, 1 meeting, 1 hour. believe it or not. Advisors who take longer, 2, 3, 4 meetings, are just taking longer to put the same information on the table and go through the process that enables the client to say yes. And I can't go through the whole system right now, but I can tell you the biggest mistake advisors make, and that is that they put the client interview, the presentation, at the beginning of the sales system. What that means is they meet the prospect on a Monday and they bring them in on Tuesday to speak to them. Well, even if you perform the interview flawlessly, what's the probability that they're going to go ahead and give you the $1 million or more that their life savings? Right? Not so much. We move it to the last. If you do everything else ahead of time, you can bring them in 1 week, 1 meeting. So it's automatic, it's documented, it's repeatable, and it works. Okay, so let's review, let's wrap up. We give you the $1 million marketing program. We provide the $1 million leads to eligible advisors, and we teach you how to close them. Have I left anything out? No more excuses. Here are the results we've been getting. I've been doing this 3 years now. We get $1 million prospects. We have a 20% closing rate. We're averaging a 10 times ROI. And you get to get referrals on those as well. And that's a 90% closing rate because the referrals are the best way to get it. Okay. Does it work? You heard RJ at the beginning, and he gave me permission to quote this. He actually quoted in the beginning. September of 2019, about 1.5 years ago, his first lead ended up not having $1 million. They had 6.1. RJ walked away 6 days later with $3.5 million, provided 40,000 revenue. Since that time, in addition to the $1 million leads in sprinkled in there, he's gotten 12 $5 million plus leads. That included 2 $10 million leads, one of which had all cash. Okay. And just before Christmas, we got him a $42 million lead, and I think that case is still pending. So it works. All right. We started out by asking who had a record 2020, but the bigger question is which of you are committed to having a record 2021? You have no more excuses. It's really the 80-20 rule. You know this. 80% of all the revenue in this business or any other industry is made by the top 20% of the advisors. And the bottom 80% of the revenue is the bottom 80% of the revenue is split. Sorry, the bottom 20% of the revenue is split by the bottom 80% of the advisors. They get to sprinkle that around. My only question to you is, which group do you want to be in? I'm looking for those of you who want to be in the top 20%. Okay, thank you very much. Contact me. We'll do a 10-15 minute get acquainted call. RJ, is back to you, buddy.
All right, Max, thank you so much. And thank you for being on time and actually early. So I'm going to take back and let's see if I can get put a few closing things up on the screen, some dates and some things y'all are going to want to take down. So let's see. Okay. And looks like, Max, we need to make me the presenter again. Did you already do that?
I thought I did. Hang on.
Sometimes it's a little slow.
Try it now.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Now I've got it. Thank you. Let me go and share screen one more time. So there we have it. Great stuff. So with Tim, we were looking at long-term care solutions and, the 3 different ways, whether it's an individual product, whether it's a having a single premium product, which certainly has better underwriting opportunities, or it's some of the long-term care riders that we can put on insurance. Each one has their own fit, their own niche. A number of years ago, I was running back in a state that I had never been before, Arkansas. How many people have ever been to Arkansas? Okay, well, some of you won't admit it, but anyway, flying over, I thought it looked like a moonscape as I was flying into the capital there. Found out later that those were chicken coops that rather than scrape them and start something new, they just let them fall down and then they just build around them. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. But a buddy of mine was thinking about moving back to Arkansas. And so I said, look, I'll come back there with you and we could just kind of walk around. And this part of Arkansas he was looking at was sort of off the beaten path. So I was back there with him. I was training for a marathon. So I went for about an hour and a half run. And during that entire, let's just call it an hour and a half run, during that entire time, I saw 8 cars. And this was during lunchtime. And I think a couple of those 8 cars I saw twice, going and coming. But as I was running through the center of town, put that in quotes, I saw a sign that says Bubba's Veterinarian and Taxidermy. Bubba's Veterinary and Taxidermy. And I thought, wait a minute, time out. There's got to be a great story here. I've never seen this before. So I go in there, I'm dripping wet, and I talked to the little girl out front. I said, is Mr. Bubba in? I'd love to hear his story. She looks me up and down. She goes, just a minute. And then she goes back and I hear the shuffling and stuff coming out. Walks Mr. Bubba, huge mountain of a man, got his cape around his neck and everything, sizing me up. And so I explained to him why I was out there. And I said, Mr. Bubba, I've seen veterinarians, I've seen taxidermies. I've never seen it combined into one company. So he pulls on his apron and he looks back at me. He goes, well, boy, either way, you're going to get your dog back. Now, that story is actually partially true. So, but apocryphal, partially true. But I have used that story to describe the long-term care insurance that we have today as options. Because either way, our clients are going to get their dog back. Either they're going to get the death benefit, they're going to get the long-term care benefit, or they're going to get the cash. So either way. So if that works for you, hey, there you go. I've got up on screen here just a couple of reminders. Okay, so that's Tim's point. Great stuff. And of course, Cindy was making us aware of the power of intra-family loans. Right now, it is a killer time, no pun intended, by the way, to be able to transfer money on a loan basis. Because again, even with wealthy clients, I find that they're not convinced that they're never going to run out of money. So if we have a string attached to that money, we're putting it into a trust, as Cindy suggested, but with the ability to pull it back after a period of time, do a 5-pay, 6-pay, 7-pay. So you get that AFR rates at the midterm level, super inexpensive. Great way of buying life insurance to pay the estate taxes. And now, of course, with Max, success is a state of mind. And I've heard that talk or variations of it probably 50 times, no exaggeration. I still get new stuff out of it and got some new stuff out of it today. So Max, thanks as always. Couple reminders, February 8th, so this is coming Monday. We're going to be having a presentation from MDRT that y'all are invited to. And it's making your 2021 your best year ever. It's 10 o'clock Pacific time. It is open to non-MDRT members. We're really making an effort to include everybody that's out there, whether they're a member or not. Several top of the table members, core to the table. So it's definitely going to be a one you want to put on your calendar. You do need to register. So if you've never registered for an MDRT event before, you just need to go in there, put a little bit of information in there, and then you can register for the event itself. Okay, so that's next Monday from 10 to 11. That's going to be a really good one. I'm looking forward to it. On top of that, and that's, of course, absolutely free. Those are the dates of the upcoming meetings. So again, June will be the only non-in-person meeting. The rest are planning on to be live in-person meetings. What a concept. May 4th is our next study group. Stay tuned. We've got some good stuff lined up there. And let's see, that's it. So it's 11:31. Thanks everybody, or 11:32 just now. So again, thanks to our wonderful speakers. Love you guys that are with us here. Let us know, either let Rob Gashow or myself know topics or speakers that you'd like to include. And with that, we're adjourned. So if anybody has anything else, to take yourself off mic and we'll go from there. But anyway, that's the end of our formal presentation today. But if anybody wants to come off mic and ask a question to Tim or Cindy or Max or me, we can sure do that.
Thanks, RJ.
You're welcome, Rob. Thank you, my friend. And Cindy and Tim and Max, thank you.
This is great. Thanks for putting it all together, RJ. Appreciate it. I know it's a lot of work.
It's a labor of love. I always learn more from it than anybody else does. So
All right. I'll be in touch. I'll talk to you soon.
sounds great. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
So that's it, gang. Unless there's anything else. Bye for now.